Hello everyone, this is Stephanie. Welcome to another video. So today we're going to continue on with our Bezeling cabochons. So we've done this 18 by 25 millimeter oval cab and just came out fantastic. So we did the Lunasoft and we did the gemstones. So today we're going to work on this 18 by 13 millimeter oval, and this is what it looks like. So it's again flat on the back, domed on the front. And we're going to capture that in a bezel, and we're going to make this really pretty ring out of it. So I got a couple questions about other stones and, whether they can be bezeled, odd shaped stones and teardrops and round. So the round will be an upcoming video. So that's this one. And then here's a regular teardrop shape. This is a 25 millimeter teardrop shape, and that works just fine also. So, we'll do these in future videos. And then I looked in my stash and I found these odd shaped stones that I had just been laying around there. I wasn't that crazy about them, but they look so good when they're bezeled. So this, I don't know what this is, but it's very pretty, and it's an odd, sort of an odd square. So see, it's wider on the top, narrower on the bottom, but it worked very well to bezel. So the thickness of the stone was pretty uniform, but the shape was odd. So that worked out. And then I found this kind of odd shaped teardrop. Again, this one was sort of like bulbous on one side, but still, around the stone was, pretty even. So that one bezeled really well as well. And then I found this one, which is, an oblong, sort of weird one, but I love this stone. So pretty. Forget what this is, and I'm still working on this one. To me, it's a little loose right now, so I'm gonna continue to work on this. So you can try all these odd shaped stones. These two worked out fantastic. I think this will work out. Of course, these aren't odd shapes, so these are pretty standard shapes. But any kind of shape that you have, you can try this technique. And if you haven't seen how I do this, then go back to the other video. The Bezeling a 25 millimeter cabochon. I'm going to link it in the cards and in the description box below the video, because you can pretty much try that technique with any cabochon and see if it works. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But for the ones I've done, we've done pretty well here. So this one works great. So we're going to do this one today. I'm going to clear this off, get a materials list going, and we're going to get started. Don't forget to like and subscribe and ring that bell so you get notified when I upload a video. I know I'm like a broken record. Thanks. Okay, let's get a materials list going. So you'll need your 18 by 13 millimeter oval cabochon, and actually I'm doing this one on the video, this lapis. Love that. So I put a similar color out here because I only had one. 2 colors of Delicas, 2 colors of 15-0s. I need a size 10 and 12 beading needle. I have these little needle cases, which I love, but I have not decorated them yet and beaded them and, made them, zhuzhed them up yet. So I just put a 10 and a 12 here. I just wrote it in pencil. You'll need some 8-pound Fireline black satin. I forgot to put out a stop bead, so I'll just take one of those. There's your stop bead right there. Do you love my No More Oops bead tray? This is my new one. Thank you, Darlene, for sending this to me. I love this color. It's so pretty. And what's so cool about it is that they now come with a little cover. So it's, it's kind of like a bead mat cut to cover it. So if you want to leave your space for a little bit and you're worried about the beads getting messed up, or what I do is if I'm in the middle of a project, I just cover it like this and I put it on a shelf. I just pick it up and put it on a shelf. I mean, it's not a closed cover where you can carry it, around a lot, but I just pick it up and I put it on a shelf so that my cats don't get it. And also one more cute thing, just have to show you this. She sent me this little mini, which probably would have been good for today. So how cute is that? And this has a little cover as well, so if you don't need the big one, you have the little one. So that's very cool. Don't forget the Ringberries mat. That is my basic mat, the big 14 by 24, something like that, 22, something like that, inch bead mat that this mat goes on top of. I always have this down on my space because it's big and it's, it's the perfect mat, and I love the colors. So there's a link to the Ringberries mat. Bronzepony 10 is the coupon code. If you put that in, you'll get 10% off on whatever you order from her site. Okay, again, don't forget to check everything in the description box below the video. Color, sizes, shapes, you know the drill. So don't forget to click the down arrow on the show more. Everything will be down below in that box, including links to places to purchase cabs, beads, etc. if you need them. All right, so I'm going to clear this off and we're going to get started. Okay, let's get started. So thread your needle with about 3 feet of thread. put on a stop bead in the middle, so we're going to use half the thread for one side of this bezel and half the thread for the other. So I've put on my needle and dropped down to my stop bead 40 of my 11 Delicas, and I alternated colors. So I started with a bronze, and then I put on a blue and a bronze and a blue and so on until I had 40 beads on. So I started with a bronze and with a blue, and I have 40 beads on. And I just want to check for size just to make sure it's how it's fitting. So see that? To see how it's just right around the edge of the stone. It's not up here, and it's not like this. You're just about to the edge of the stone, maybe with a hair of space around there. So this is exactly what you want for it to fit well. All right, so I'm just going to make these into a circle by sewing through the first Delica after my stop bead, which is this gold one. This is what I have. Now the fun thing about doing alternating colors is that when you're coming out of a gold bead, we're going to be putting on a blue bead. So every time you're coming out of this gold bead, you're going to pick up a blue bead and you're going to sew through the next gold bead. Okay, so that makes it very easy. So if you're using one color, you're picking up a blue, you're skipping the blue, sewing through the gold or the bronze. Pick up a blue, skip the next bead, sew through the next bead. So that's just your regular peyote. But if you're just alternating colors, all you have to do is just, every time you're picking up a blue, you're going through the bronze. So it makes it not only pretty, but super easy to do. So you're always going through the bronze when I'm putting on a blue bead. So do that all the way around, and then we'll step up. All right, coming down to the end. So I've got a couple of beads to put on. So here I'm exiting this bronze one. I'm going to skip the blue, sew through the bronze and the blue on the diagonal. Like that. Okay. So now you want to keep your tension good. You want to keep it snug. You don't want to pull, too tight, but you want to keep it nice and snug, just like that. I'm going to add another round on, so I'm going to pick up a gold one now and sew through every sticking out. Blue Delica, just like that. So you're just going to do that all the way around and then meet me at the end and we'll continue. Okay, coming down to the end, if you notice I'm starting to curve on its own. So here I'm going to put on my gold Delica, then my last one, and I'm going to step up. So exiting here, I'm going to sew through this blue one and the gold one on the diagonal, or the bronze one on the diagonal. Give it a pull, and this is what I have. So that's just what you want. Give it a little pull. And now we're going to put on some 15-ohs. So I've sort of picked out a really light blue 15-oh. It doesn't quite go, but I just thought it would be easier for you to see. So I'm just exiting this gold Delica. Just going to put on a 15-oh between each of the Delicas. Like that. I'm just going to do that all the way around, and then I'm going to, till we come to the end, and then we'll step up together. Okay, coming down to the end again. So here I'll put on this one, and then I'm going to put another bead on. So 15-oh, and I'm going to step up. So exiting this bronze one, sewing through this bronze one, and the light blue one on the diagonal. That stepped me up. Okay, one more round of 15-ohs on this side for now. So I'm going to switch to my bronze one, and I'm just going to put a 15-oh in between every sticking out 15-oh, or every up bead. Just like that. Okay, so just do that all the way around and then come on back and we'll step up. Okay, coming down to my last bead. So here I'm exiting this blue bead. I'm going to sew through this one and then the bronze bead on the diagonal. Just like that. Okay, so this is what I have so far. So I'm just going to let you get to this point and then we'll take the stop bead off and we'll do a little on the back. Okay, so here we are. So I'm going to turn my bezel over to the other side and take off the stop bead and thread my needle. And then I want to put the stone in. It's not going to stay, but I just want to give you an idea of how it should look. So the front is going to look like that, and we'll probably add another round of 15-ohs on, but the back is what I'm really concerned with right now. So when you put this stone in, you want those beads, that outer edge bead, so that's the blue bead, it's kind of hard to see, to be right on the edge of your stone. So you want them right up to the edge, and it's hard, you know, when I hold it because it moves, but when I go like this, it's really flush right to the edge. You really want that. If you're not there, if you're like this, it's not, you're going to have to add another round of Delicas. So it's sometimes, you know, depending on the curve of the stone, it could make a difference. So, you know, because the natural stone, so it's, you know, they're not as perfect. They're not going to be like crystals where it's always going to take, you know, you have to sort of play a little bit. But this is perfect. So if it looks like that, you're good. And it, I mean, it pretty much should look like that, but you never know. You know, I did one other stone. I think it was the rhodonite. It might have been this one, or, you know, another one like this, that I actually had to add another round of Delicas on. So it's always possible. All right, so here I've threaded my needle with that other thread, and you'll be exiting this gold Delica or bronze Delica. You want to be on these outside blue beads here to add more beads. So I'm just going to sew through this blue one. So now I'm in a position to put more beads on. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to add a 15-oh. So I'm just going to do the gold one to give you a little bit of contrast, or bronze. I know I keep calling it gold. So you're just going to put a bronze bead on, a 15-oh in between each of the Delicas, and you're just going to have to hold the stone. And it'll, you know, it's going to take 3 or 4 rounds of beads to capture this stone. So don't worry about it if it doesn't seem like it's tight. It will start to conform to the stone after a little bit. It's already starting. So just go all the way around like that. And then meet me at the end and we'll step up. Back for a second. So as I'm putting these on, I'm pulling inward, not out, pulling in towards the center of the stone. And that just seats everybody nicely. So see, pulling in, pulling in. I'm going to step up now. So exiting this blue one, I'm going to sew through this blue one and the one on the diagonal. And then I'm going to pull it tight, just like that. So get that done and then come back and we'll continue. Okay, I'm going to put on another round, so I'm switching to my blue again, you know, just so it's easier to see. So on with the blue through every gold one or bronze one. And again, I'm pulling inward a little bit, not pulling it out of shape, but just giving like a little tug inward, like that. All right, so get that round done, and then meet me at the end, and you know what we're going to do? We're going to step up. Okay, let's step up. So exiting the gold one, I'm going to pick up the blue, sew through this gold one and the blue one on the diagonal. Pull in a little bit, looking good. You're going to need one more round, so grab your contrasting color or the same color, whichever, and put on another round. If you're stone is maybe a little bit smaller, or, you know, they're not always completely accurate in their sizing. You can always try a Charlotte here if that fits better. You know, a little smaller bead. I'm finding that the 15-0s are okay, but I have my Charlottes handy just in case. Alright, so just go all the way around and then meet me at the end and we'll continue. Okay, getting ready to step up. So here, exiting the blue, I'm going to sew through this blue one and the gold one on the diagonal. Pull that through. And I think that's all we're going to need on the back. But we're not done with the back yet. We're going to do a little reinforcing on the back. But before we do that, I'm just going to turn around to the front, and I want to, so you're exiting, get my needle here, a gold edge, you know, bead on the edge here. Just give it a nice pull. I just want these tightened up really well, and that's going to tighten up the whole thing. And I'm going to pull the back as well. Give that a pull, and then, you know, just want to tighten everybody up nicely so it's all looks all straight and, you know, sort of even and everything. So then you have to decide whether or not you want to put another round of beads on. If it's not moving, and it isn't moving, you can just stop here and reinforce all your around the bezel. But I'm going to add another round of the 15-0s, and then we'll reinforce. So either stop now and wait for me to reinforce, or continue with another round of 15-0s on the front. One more bead to put on. So I'm exiting this gold one, picking up a bead, sewing through this gold one, and the blue one on the diagonal. I'm going to pull, and this is what I have. Okay, so I think that's all I need on the front. So now we want to reinforce a little bit. So you want to, because there aren't any, you know, like edges, like a crystal, that sort of hold everything in place, I'm going to do a little bit of reinforcing just to be sure that, that it's nice and tight. Okay, so I'm exiting a blue bead. I'm going to just sew on the diagonal to this gold one, and that's Haley, the kitty, being naughty. She's knocking my pencils down. So I've sewn again on the diagonal. I want to get up to this Delica right here. So now I'm just going to sew through this. I'm coming out of this Delica. I'm going to sew through this 15-0 here, and then this Delica. I'm going to sew through this 15-0, and then this Delica. So I'm doing everything on the diagonal. I'm sort of getting those edge beads nice and tight. So you see how it's, as I pull in, it's just tightening up the stone a little bit. So, I mean, okay, and then I'm going to go through a Delica here, so I kind of moved over a little bit, but that's okay, going through it. This one, you can just go through the Delicas, it doesn't really matter, just so that you get a little bit of reinforcing all the way around. So do that all the way around the front, and then take your back thread, and I want you to do the same thing around the back. So I'm exiting one of the gold beads. I'm just going to sew through this 15-0, then this one on the diagonal. Oops. And then I'm going to go sew through this Delica. And then I'm just going to hit some Delicas here on the back. See how I'm doing two at a time on the diagonal, like that. Like that. And do that all the way around. And then once you've done that all the way around, and you've done the front and the back, you've got a nice, sturdy, really beautiful bezeled cabochon. All right, there you go. So get that done. And then when we come back, we'll start the band. All right, see you in a few. We're back, so let's get the ring band done. So I just took out my examples just to show you how it looks with the color on the inside and the metallic on the outside, or the metallic on the inside with the color on the outside. So, you know, just to give you an idea. So I'll put those aside. So I'm going to thread my needle with about 5 feet of thread. I'm going to put a stop bead on and leave about a 12-inch tail. We're going to use that tail to sew one end of the band onto the bezel. So I put on my stop bead, I put on my needle and drop down to my stop bead. One of my outside colors, so for me it's a blue, 6 of my inside color, which is the bronze, and 1 outside color, which is a blue. Okay, so now we're just going to do a little flat, even count peyote. So picking up a blue, skipping this blue, the top blue, and sewing through the next bronze bead. Let's put my finger on it, give it a pull, so that bead sits next to the other blue bead. You might have to encourage it a little bit. Okay, picking up a bronze, exiting a bronze, skipping the next bronze, sewing through the following one. Like that. Picking up a bronze, exiting here, skip the next one, right there, sew through the following one. Like that. No idea how hard it is to hold this little tiny strip. Well, for me anyway. Okay. Pick up a bronze, exiting a bronze, skip the bronze, sew through the blue one. Like that. And now my pattern is established. I'm going to go back up again. I'm going to use my outside edge bead, the blue, sew through the bronze. Pick up a bronze, sew through the next bronze. Pick up a bronze, sew through the next bronze. Pick up a bronze, sew through the next blue bead, going back down, picking up a blue, sew through the bronze. Now I'm going through my bronze beads, putting on a bronze, putting on a bronze, putting on a bronze. Okay, just like that. I'm going to pick up the blue. I'll just do this last row with you. Blue, bronze, bronze, and a bronze, and so on. So you're just going to do that all the way, you know, down to the end of your ring band. Now my band, for my size 8 ring, and I measured my ring on a ring mandrel, you know, one of those long things that you put a ring on. It has little numbers on the side. And to get my size 8 with this cabochon, I needed 1 7/8 inches of peyote, of my peyote. So I think the best thing to do is if you don't know exactly how long you need, just, you know, bead for a bit, and then when we get to the next clip where we put attach one side to the bezel, you can just pull it around and see how it fits, and if it, you know, if you need to add more, you can add more. If you need to take some off, you can take some off. So, and you know, that's really the best way to measure, you know, to get the fit just right, and it worked out very well. All right, so get that done and come on back and we'll continue. Okay, let's connect one side of the band. So I've chosen this round of Delicas. So it's the last Delica before the edge beads, so before the 15-0 starts. So it's these blue Delicas right here. So let me come out of this one. So here I have my indented blue bead, and I just want to match that up with, sort of center it on my bezel. Actually came out kind of ombre. That's kind of cool. Okay. So here I have my indented blue one, and I'm going to attach to these 4 blue ones right here. Now it would be difficult for me to say start at the top and count and such, because your bezel might be slightly different than mine. I think it's better to eyeball it, really look at it, make sure it's, you know, it's as centered as possible, and that looks good to me. So you have a, you know, sort of make that judgment here. So exiting this little blue one, indented blue one on the band, I'm just going to sew through this blue one on the bezel. So if just as soon as you get that first bead down, then you're good. You don't really have to worry about it. And if you do it and it's off, you know, then you just play with it. If you can actually count from your sort of, you know, top beads and count in, you can do that. It's just not always going to work that way for everybody. All right, so I've come through the blue bead on the bezel. Now I'm going to sew through the sticking out bronze bead on the band. I'm going to go through this blue one on the bezel. Then I'm going to go through this bronze one on the band, and you'll see it as you're doing it. It's the sticking out bead. We're zipping up. And then the blue one on the bezel. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to turn it this way so you can actually see the zipping up area. See that? So when I pull, see how it's zipping up? So I'm exiting the blue one on the bezel now, so I'm just going to sew through the bronze one on the band. And then the blue one, make sure you're doing the right one. It says blue one down here on the bezel. And then I'm going to go right through this blue one, so that's my last bead on the band. And you see how that sewed it in? And it's like pretty much centered, so that came out good. And so you want to connect this blue bead to the bezel, so exiting the blue right here on the band, I'm just going to sew through this gold one, so it's like the one right above it on the bezel. And then all you want to do at this point is just make sure you sew your threads in. So if I'm exiting this bronze one, I'm just going to sew up on the bezel on the diagonal through a number of beads till I get to the top, and then you can work your way through the band, you know, just to where it feels really comfortable and, you know, like it's attached really nicely. So that came out pretty good. All right, so get that done. You're just going to repeat it for the other side, but come on back and I'll kind of do it with you. All right, see you in a few. We're back, so let's get the other side done. So here, before I do it, I just want to try it and make sure that it's going to meet. Okay, so when I do this, let me see if I can do it so you can see it. You know, it comes right up to the edge right there, so I think that'll be okay. So really, I think the best way to do this side, let me just move that thread because I didn't cut that off yet, is just, of course you're going to take off your stop bead and thread your needle. I'm just going to fold it over exactly so it meets the other edge. And the reason I didn't give you numbers like count from here to here is because your bezel might be slightly different. With these stones, they're all, you know, you're better off like just eyeballing it and then just kind of adjusting it a little bit to, you know, to get it to fit perfectly, you know, and to be as centered as possible. All right, so let me pull in a little bit. So I've just folded it over. My edges are matching, and it's going to kind of give me an idea where I'm going to sew in. So I'm going to, here's my indented blue bead. I'm going to sew through this blue one on this side now. And you might have to switch to a size 12 beading needle here. Just don't, you know, don't crack a bead. So here then I'm going through the gold, the bronze one on the diagonal, and then through the blue Delica here, especially if you're using, like I can really feel this sort of grinding a bit. Yeah, let me turn it this way now. Let me just see how it's fitting. Yeah, I think that's going to be fine. These frosted beads or the matte beads, they are delicate. So if you know, hit it the wrong way, it could definitely break. So you want to just be really careful that you don't break your beads. So just go slow, and if you need to switch to a size 12 beading needle, then do that. So you heard my voice kind of go up a little bit. My husband was like calling me from the other room. And I'm like, no, hear me, I'm recording. So he did finally hear me. But if you heard, Steffi, then that was him. All right, so we got our other side on. And let me fold it over, see how that looks. Yeah, that came out great. And now I'm just going to, so I'm exiting the blue one. I'm going to sew through this gold one. So I find it better going up this way. And then I'm going to sew in through here and just go around a few of the beads. And again, you know, reinforce my threads. So here, let me put it on. Hey, that came out nice. Okay, and it looks pretty even. Looks like I got it just about right. What do you think? I think that looks good. All right, so there's your cabochon ring. Cool, huh? Okay, I have a lot of them. These are so much fun. I absolutely had a blast with these. I hope you have a lot of fun with these. I really do. And just play with it, and just take your time and have fun. And sometimes a cab works absolutely beautifully, and other times like it's too wonky or something and it's not going to fit. I absolutely love that one. I think that's so pretty, the lapis one. All right, so I want to thank you again for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.